Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. Yeah, so now we can move on to the goddamn tweets.
More dots. My world, the inner World of Warcraft fan in me is happy about that. Okay. Anywho. Oh boy, it's that place. It's that place.
It's the Ark Encounter. They say, even if Noah's Ark were found, people would not believe apart from the work of the Holy Spirit. Says the people who don't believe that Ron Wyatt found the Noah's Ark.
I am sorry, but unless Noah's Ark is found and the wood that it's made of is of a composition that does not exist now and is in perfect condition, that's not Noah's Ark, because magical gopher wood is a thing that doesn't fucking exist.
Ooh. Do you know the hot goss about Bodie and Answers in Genesis?
No. What happened?
I go into a tangent on this I forget whether it was last week's video or the one that's releasing this Friday. But, so, as you're probably aware, Ken Ham has been treating Bodie Hodge like shit for years. Like, as long as I can remember, anytime I've seen those two share a stage, I have felt bad for Bodie because of just how bad Ken Ham treats him. He clearly hates his guts and only tolerates him because he's the son-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Bodie, I feel, has been tolerating this behavior from Ken because he hopes to inherit a multi-million-dollar ministry when Ken dies or retires. Because he's the son-in-law. You don't give it to the daughters, you give it to the guy with the penis. Bible. Well, Ken Ham...
Is he trying to do the kind version of what Eric Hovind did?
Yes.
I'm going to take the Empire, yes. Dad.
Yes. That's the idea that I have for this. So, yeah, Bodie says he wouldn't lie to Nazis to save Jews. Fuck him. That article comes into the story. Don't you worry. So Ken Ham, I think it was like back in like March or something, he announced that he was retiring. His retirement was imminent, and that the person who is going to be succeeding him as CEO of Answers in Genesis is some guy named Martin Iles, who I'd never heard of before. So Bodie, I guess he flipped his shit because he left Answers in Genesis to start his own ministry with hookers and blackjack.
Actually, screw the ministry.
Yeah. It's just a blog. He started a blog and called it a ministry. I mean, he's had the blog for a while, but he renamed it to whatever his new ministry name is, and that's
okay.
It's really sad and pathetic, and I love it. I love that for him.
So are we no longer going to see Bodie on Ham and Eggs?
No, we're not.
I'm sad.
So they have nuked him from Answers in Genesis so thoroughly that if you go to their website now and search for Bodie Hodge, or Bodie by itself, or Hodge by itself, there are no results for any of it. They've deleted all of his articles.
Oh, he's been depersoned.
He's been completely wiped. And the way I found that out was because I regularly reference his article called A Righteous Lie, which is all about how it's wrong to lie to a Nazi to save a Jew. And the URL for that article now redirects to a new article called Is Lying Justified or something like that, which says basically the same thing, but it's not as hardline as it's like, it tells you how you could potentially be deceptive without technically lying. Which, like, okay, that's a better take, but it's still a bad take.
I wasn't aware that Christians needed to be wild fae. Yeah. Because that's a hallmark of fucking fairies. We can't lie to you, but we are able to deceive you by the letter of our words, because we honor the letter of our words and never the spirit of our words, which feels, again... That feels a little more pagan than it does Christian. Well, just saying.
That's the thing. I reference that article every time I catch them in a lie, which is every time I respond to them. So, But yeah, no, that's not where it ends, though, because Martin Iles, the guy that was going to replace Ken Ham as CEO, he left Answers in Genesis to start his own ministry with blackjack and hookers. And However, he left on good terms, apparently, because you can still find him on the Answers in Genesis website. He's still got a biography. He's still got articles that he's written.
Is it,
So, like,
do you think maybe, because for years now, there's been conversations about the fact that the Ark Encounter and shit are literally afloat financially because of tax reasons. They don't actually make enough money to be sustainable. Do you think it's that he understood what kind of a financial hole he was about to be in and that just like dipped out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because anytime they do fundraising, they raise like tens of millions of dollars, and they do it like once a year. And like, yeah, I know the gigantic boat is probably a money sink, and the Creation
It's
Museum.
not the only thing that would sink.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the Creation Museum probably, I could see it breaking even. But yeah, no, they raise so much money so easily because a lot of people, like, yeah, nobody goes to the fucking boat, but everybody sees like, oh, this Christian ministry is in trouble and needs my help. I can do a good thing, but like, if I just like enter my credit card details and send them that counts as a tithe, and that counts as me doing Christian good stuff.
Mm.
Oh yeah, they also they exploit young people in their ministry because like they their whole thing is like they came into this town, Williamstown, Kentucky, that has nothing in it. So now
To bring jobs there.
Yeah, so they brought jobs there.
Sean, thank you for
in
your points for you fucking degen.
But in order to work there, you have to sign on to their regressive, nasty bullshit or whatever. And they're allowed to discriminate because they're religious. I've never understood that one. Like the whole, like the idea behind giving people an exemption from taxes is that you are providing a service that if you were not providing it, the government would have to provide it. Therefore, we are going to give you a tax break because if we... thanks for the hat, duct tape, Jake. Because if we didn't give you the tax break, you might stop providing the service, and then we'd have to pay for it with tax money. So it kind of it's a wash. It's like it breaks even sort of thing. That's the whole point behind tax incentives for
but I don't
charities.
think the Ark Encounter provides a service of any kind.
No, they don't. I'm saying that's the idea behind it. Religious institutions already push the envelope on that logic as it is, but then to say, oh yeah, and also because we are a tax exempt organization that is like that's officially like that is a form of government subsidy. So because we are being paid for by the government and by proxy by taxpayers, we are now allowed to discriminate in employment in a way that non-charitable company or non-religious companies can't. I don't follow that logic. Olivia Williams for $5 says, seriously guys, you really need to like and share more. Shame.
Shame. Sebby says, I have a thing called an ARC fund or something like that. Is something I should be worried like that. Is that something I should be worried about that? Different. So we're talking about the ARC Encounter specifically that Ken Ham is over. My Little Geekery, thank you for redeeming your points for an OWO. But we're talking about Ken Ham's organization / religious scam / tax write-off. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But no, I had forgotten. I guess I kind of memory hold the fact that they do earn a lot of money via donations.
Yeah.
And I was focusing mostly on the Ark Encounter being non-profitable. But no, you're right. They, as an organization, they certainly do make more money via other ways.
Yeah. Selling books that have Bodie's contributions in them. I wonder what they're going to do with that, because he's written a lot of those books, like the portions of those books. That's where I first encountered his A Righteous Lie article. The first time I ever referenced it, I referenced it in the book because that's where I had it. I didn't know it was on the website.
Hey.
But yeah. Anyway, that's the tea. I may have just spoiled some of my video for Friday.
That's fine.
I do that a lot.
There's plenty of people who don't click on every single video.
Yeah.
And those people are morally wrong, and they should fix that by clicking on every single video.
And then like and share.
And watching them on repeat.
Just put it on while you go to sleep. Let it autoplay.
Yeah.
I have
Hell,
playlists.
if you've got multiple accounts and you've got
Ooh.
multiple like TVs, smart TVs in your house, just like, you know, you don't have to have the audio on.
Clueless Expert says, including the meathead videos. Um, so about those, somebody commented on one of if you're not aware, I'm doing a thing called Meathead Monday right now, where like I take one of my older videos where I just use the avatar and I'm
Hello.
redoing it with my stupid face uh on screen. Thank you
Mm.
for resubscribing, Duct Tape Jake. Um, so someone commented on one of those recently. It was like, this is literally you doing live action remakes. I'm like, God fucking damn it, it is. Go. I have no rebuttal for that. It's literally what, and is literally for the same reason. Like, it's not a quick cash grab in the sense that like I like everybody watches that and I make lots of money from that. But it is kind of a cash grab in the sense that like my analytics were tanking, and uh, a good overall general sense of how healthy your channel is the how many subscribers you've gotten in the last 28 days number that you see every time you log into YouTube Studio.
Yeah, mine's not doing so hot.
So mine, on average over the lifetime of my channel, I'd say it typically floats in between 5 and 700. I've had times where it's been higher, I've had times where it's been lower, but that's typically where it goes. Before I started doing Meathead Monday, it was dipping down to like 20.
20?
Yeah.
Mine, I am scared, and mine's sitting at 200.
Yeah, no, it dipped down to 20. And so I was like, I need to do something. And I couldn't really think of anything to do. And then it's like, okay, well, redoing some of these old videos is an idea I've had for a while. So I'm just going to do that. And hopefully it'll help. It is now up to like, it's around 450 right now.
Huh. I may steal that idea.
Yeah, because it, like, I am also doing it selectively. So like, I'm not just doing all of my old videos. I'm doing the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not all good. I get it. Anyway, that's our first tweet.
Matt Powell Power Hour video. Let's do it. Let's do the Matt Powell Power Hour.
I already have a compilation of Matt Powell responses that I think is about 4 hours long.
I just received a sponsorship opportunity from BetterHelp. I feel like I'm going to ignore that one.
I have mixed feelings about BetterHelp because on the one hand, yeah, they sell your data and that's a shit thing to do for what they offer. But on the other hand, it's a service that can allow people in rural areas that don't have very many options for therapists actually connect with a therapist that they might need. Like, you get a trans person living in the middle of Georgia. Like you,
okay,
like
that's
yeah.
I hadn't actually considered that.
Yeah, so like there is an argument to be like, I know they're a shit company, but on the but I've also heard stories of, and this is obviously they're not going to green light an ad if you say this, but I've heard stories of like people connecting with a therapist through BetterHelp and then negotiating private sessions not through BetterHelp after that, because the therapists also apparently don't get paid a lot when they go through BetterHelp. It's like a marketing thing, basically.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, that's just a thought. Considering it from a different angle, it's about access. It's not for everyone.
I can see that. Okay. Maybe I'll talk with them and see what they're offering at the very least, because that's actually a pretty decent argument.
Yeah. Yeah, Smacko says there's almost no LGBT help here in my country. People use those online therapists too. Yeah. What I had heard was that they weren't licensed therapists. Okay, that would be a problem. Depends on what, because there is a time period during the process where, like, if like my partner was in practicum for like a year, which is basically therapy internship, where you still had to be registered with the CRPO, which is our therapy registration and Regulation Board in Ontario. But I don't think she's technically licensed until after she graduates and gets her degree. So it might be a student situation, and that would actually also track with they don't get paid a lot, because like my partner just worked at what is supposed to be a high-paid job for like 9 months without getting a dime. Actually, she was paying about $1,000 a month for supervision.
Yay, that sounds
Hooray,
agitating.
Capitalism. Okay. Moving on.
Speaking of places that do sponsorships for people all the time, I just had a heart attack for a second because Rocket Money just sent me a thing saying you have a T-Mobile bill coming up for $350. And like, no, the fuck I don't. What are you talking about? And then I realized I overpaid on my bill, and it doesn't know how to respond to you overpaid on a bill other than thinking that you have a big bill that's upcoming. Because all it can really do is scan money in, money out, and infer from there. Yeah. So I guess that's probably what happened there. The last thing I need is another giant fucking bill. God damn it. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We get to Eric.
Oh, sweet. We went from guy who wanted to take stepdad's or dad-in-law's ministry to the guy who actually took his dad's ministry.
Yeah. He says, a little bit of skepticism might lead to doubt. A lot of skepticism will lead to the truth of Christianity.
If by a lot of skepticism you mean conspiratorial thinking where you're not able to actually connect dots very well and you just connect them in whatever way is most convenient, then sure, maybe.
Cyrus.
Yeah?
Oh, no, I closed the window. I was going to tell you to connect the dots and bring up the picture of the Trump phone again. But
I see a wizard.
Yeah, no, this is one of those things where it's like, I've seen enough of Eric's stuff to know, like, he does not engage in skepticism. But he also, like, somebody responded to him and been like, how does that follow? What about skepticism leads to Christianity? And he linked to this video.
Check out this show about the topic.
So I don't know why I bothered, but I watched that video. It's about a half an hour long. And so it's so check out this show about the topic. It explains this well. It explains how skepticism leads to Christianity. And it's how to blow an atheist's mind.
I live in the American South. Most people, when they want to blow minds, they grab a 45.
Yeah.
So maybe the language there ain't the best for what they're trying to accomplish. But anywho, what's the context?
You'll never get that half hour back. No, but I did watch it at 2 times speed, so it was only 15 minutes of a half an hour. So it's such a rambling video. I mean, not that I have any leg to stand on with regards to rambling. And it was also a live stream, so I'll cut him some slack for that. And I'm pretty sure Paula Gia was in his chat for the live stream, because he kept on talking about his atheist friend Paul in the chat. And I know that they have been on each other's channels and stuff. But yeah, no, the argument that he brought up, which is the thing that will blow an atheist's mind, is the population growth argument, where if you assume a constant population growth rate and extrapolate it backwards in time 4,000 years ago, it gets down to 8 people. You know, that argument that fails to understand that disease is a thing that happens.
Like, modern medicine as we understand it and sustainable birth rates as we understand them are a modern phenomenon from the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Nadirku, thank you for the $6.90 tip, so 69. Nice. Nice.
Nice. Why are we assuming a constant population rate? Excellent question, Stratahawk. Excellent question. He does not answer it.
You know this really cool thing that happens whenever I go on a cross-country trip, like to DC or Florida or like to Pennsylvania? So I get an arrival time that is an estimated arrival time from Google, assuming basic traffic and random shit. You know what it doesn't account for? It doesn't account for Cirrus had to take a shit. It doesn't account for Cirrus had to go get a thing of food. It doesn't account for, holy fucking shit, I just found a card shop that's actually selling the Final Fantasy decks at MSRP instead of jacking their price up 190% for no fucking reason. It doesn't account for any of that shit. You know what happens? When I go on a trip, I have to add several hours to whatever the fuck its estimated time is, because there's other shit that's going to happen. The same thing happens when we're talking about population growth over a long enough period of time, because there's all these weird things like wars and famine and disease that do this weird derailing, or an entire country being made of inbred people and therefore eventually they bottleneck themselves. Oh, sorry, that was Noah's Ark. That's different.
Oh no, he actually brought that up as an argument against the complaint, because he would say like, oh well, if you look at the evolutionist population graphs, they have the population numbers hovering down like really, really low, going back for hundreds of thousands of years, and small populations like that aren't viable for that long.
That's so weird, Noah.
Well, yeah, but the difference is the length. You see, they were doubling their population every like 50 years or something.
Yeah, see, what we have in reality is a bunch of women having a baby every 9 months and then dying after like the third one, and then guy gets another wife and then they have like 3 to 5 kids and then die after the third one. And oh, by the way, I didn't even mention how many of those kids actually made it past the age of 3 or died of dysentery. Like I haven't mentioned those parts.
So that's the thing, is a lot of people think that like, oh, people didn't live very long back then. They only like you were an old man if you were 30. Well, thing is, if you made it through childhood, chances were pretty good you'd have a similar life expectancy as to what we have today. Not the same, but similar. You could you could expect to live into your 60s, maybe your 70s.
Childhood mortality was the biggest problem.
But because like we look at the average life expectancy, when you include all the kids that died, yeah, it's about 30.
And when you include the people who went off in, the King's Wars, when you include the people who died in land disputes, when you include the people who like when you include all of those unnatural causes, then yeah. Oh, Dixie Chen says they didn't do well at Oregon Trail dysentery, Gotham.
Thank you, my little geekery, for the hat redemption.
I Oregon Trailed myself, died of dysentery, sorry.
Is our dysentery comrade. Yeah, that's the problem.
We share dysentery around these parts. Don't be dissing Terry. It's life-threatening. Okay. Sure, why not?
So Jen K says, speaking of dysentery, says, growing up in the 60s, you never heard of anyone with food allergies, autism, ADHD, gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance. Why?
Right. So you didn't hear about people with dairy intolerance because they didn't know why cheese was making them shit the bed. They didn't understand that as well as we understand it.
It wasn't a medical.
Yeah. As for gluten intolerance, you had people who had gluten intolerance. They just died of a fucking stroke. Because gluten intolerance is one of those things that actually can lead to strokes depending on the severity. As for ADHD, yeah, you didn't hear about Squirrel. You didn't hear about it. You had that guy who got really distracted.
So about
and
Star
you couldn't
Wars.
really explain why. Autism. Yes, you did, because you had people who liked miniature train sets back then, Jen.
Who do you think fucking invented civilization?
You had autism because you had trains.
Like, I just anytime I love me some mechanisms, and anytime I'm sitting there playing with little gears and stuff, and like I've come to terms with the fact that I am probably autistic.
I have spent this entire stream playing with a miniature 3D printed Buster Sword I made right as the stream began, just having my hand swing it around like a fucking anime protagonist. Oh, that's been me for the past 2 hours.
Yeah, no, I usually fidget. It's unusual that I don't have any of my normal fidgets here with me, but like, yeah, no, I will play with gears because I like the interlocking things. I like how they spin. It's fun and I enjoy it, and I like it. It gives me the dopamines to like have the gears work, and like when you put them together and make them do more things, and when you do something interesting with them, it's like it's so fucking fascinating. And I'm just sitting here like I can't see a neurotypical person being so into how something spins and interlocks and stuff like that they would invent like the Archimedes screw or something. So I'm like, yeah, no, I am
Jen,
fairly certain that society exists because of autism.
1902, Charles Riquet and Paul Portier described the phenomenon of anaphylaxis, also known as the
Food
severe
allergies.
allergic reaction to food allergies. Jen, it's because science was in the process of catching up, and we didn't have the internet yet, so we didn't have the ability to instantly share journals the absolute nanosecond that information was had. I don't think people understand. Like, Hank Green had this wonderful video about our current relationship with information that is absolutely fantastic. And it's the concept of information as junk food, where we have so much information now, and we have no real good way to filter out what's good, what's bad information. We're not all really trained on that, so we just kind of consume it over and over again.
This comment showed up in, but the internet is for porn.
Yeah, and it's really, really great. I've seen that musical live. It's fantastic.
There's a musical?
Avenue Q. You've never heard of Avenue Q?
I've heard of it. Never seen it.
It's the Muppets or it's Sesame Street for adults.
Okay.
It's where the song "The Internet Is for Porn" is from.
I didn't know that was a song.
Yeah.
The Sakura says, also of note, lactose tolerance is the rare mutation. Most people do not maintain lactose tolerance into adulthood. I was going to bring that up as well.
One third of the human population.
The majority of the planet is and always has been dairy intolerant.
Yeah, because you're technically not supposed to consume dairy into adulthood, because that is not the evolutionary purpose of dairy. It just so happens, however, that if you are a society that has a bunch of animals
on persistence, Fennec, okay? You happy? Lactase persistence. Shut up.
If you are a society that is going through some weird thing called the agricultural revolution, and you are in the process of discovering how to keep foods for longer, and you come up with this weird thing called taking vinegar and shoving it into fucking milk because your cow is producing milk even when it's not pregnant, so you realize, oh, maybe this is a thing that me, in a world that can't afford food and can't get a lot of food, should be consuming so I can get my calories. Because for the last, what was it, up until 100 years ago, it was very rare for people to actually get enough calories to survive normally. We are in a very, very privileged world. Right. So you get calories where you can.
The mutation to digest milk as an adult, incredibly beneficial for survival.
So you get people who, in the middle of the agricultural revolution, are learning things like, oh, I can actually keep cheeses for an incredibly long amount of time compared to milk. Obviously, I know that milk and cheese predate the agricultural revolution, but you understand the point.
Yeah.
You get more people consuming more dairy as calories become more available to people long term.
Cheese is one of those things that I don't really understand. Like, I understand how, like, intellectually, I understand how it became a thing. It was like a desperation food originally, probably. But, like, its origin undoubtedly came from, hey, my milk is really chunky and hard. I'm going to eat it anyway.
So,
and it's been sitting in the sun, and now it's chunky and gross, but I'm gonna eat it. And now we have cheese.
No, because the sun does not make cheese. I
know that I was oversimplifying for the sake of the.
Okay, I was gonna. So me and Saki have been actually debating
I have made my own cheese out of grocery store milk before. I know that.
Yeah, Saki and I have been debating making mozzarella at home. So I'm just like, you take a strong acid and you put it in the base, and it causes it to curdle, and then you get mozzarella, and then you can go from there. Anyway, but yeah, no, we don't have an exact on the discovery of cheese, but we do know that
there's like cheese remnants from the oldest pottery that we have found.
Yep. Because what we would do is we
found the origin of blue cheese. Made out of blue milk.
Used blue milk on to make cheese. God, I hate blue cheese.
I love blue cheese. It's so good.
I do not.
It's another one that I don't understand
it.
how it's like, oh, my cheese went moldy. Guess I'll eat it.
You know that's how we make Swiss cheese, right?
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of aged cheeses that go that way.
Yeah, we introduce mold in specific areas of Swiss cheese in order to let it eat through the cheese, and that's how you get Swiss cheese with its nutty flavor.
Yeah. No, I'm aware that a lot of cheeses involve mold, and yeah, it's called starvation. I know. Intellectually, I know. But since that's not a problem I've ever had to deal with personally, it's one of those, and like, if I don't know what the best before date was on something that's in my fridge, and I know it's been there for more than a day or two, I just throw that shit out.
So one of the theories for how because there's two ways you can make, or there's a few ways you can make cheese, but the popular ways are with rennet or with vinegar, because they are both acidic and they both cause the cheese to curdle. One of the main theories,
rennet would be the first one to be discovered.
Actually, the theory goes that there's a theory that goes that rennet was the one that we discovered, because we would back when we had to make all of our materials from animal flesh, because it's just what we did. So
I see that. I was thinking from a modern perspective of vinegar is so much more common than cow stomach.
Right, but if we are taking a cow stomach that we don't want to consume,
and we are using that to store our milk.
Yep, if we're using that to store our milk for a long journey, and then suddenly it curdles in there, and we go, well, shit, I will die if I don't consume this thing I brought with me, because I don't have access to a McDonald's 1,000 years ago. Like, you go, okay, I guess I'll consume it anyway. Wow, that's actually kind of tasty. I'm gonna keep storing this milk in animal stomachs until I figure out which thing in the animal stomach is causing this reaction, so that I can replicate this over and over again long term. This tasted good, and I get to keep my calories, and hey, bonus, it didn't spoil. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Lord of Uzkalak is saying, sure, it wasn't scavenging rotten fruit. Fairly sure those are non-human simians that get drunk. There are non-human simians that get drunk on fermented fruit. I assume you're talking about the origin of alcohol. And yes, I could absolutely see scavenging rotten fruit resulting in that discovery. My mother has an apple tree in her backyard, which they're not apples that are good for human consumption. But yeah, in the fall, when the apples start falling off the tree, she regularly has drunk yellow jackets in her backyard. Because they don't sting when they're drunk. They just get drunk on apple cider, essentially, and then they just turn into the most docile murder hornet. Like, they're murder hornets, but they're docile.
Alcohol, like cheese, very likely was discovered by accident, as many of the things that we utilize are. Mm-hmm. But the reason that those things ended up propagating long term is because in a world without refrigeration, one of the most common things to do with a liquid was to convert a liquid that would spoil into a form where it would not spoil. And you can't just throw salt in your grapes and make your grapes not spoil. So your only other option is wine.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Joey. Oh, I know this one's going to piss you off. What exactly is the problem people now have with the big, beautiful bill?
The cutting of Medicaid, the gutting of protections for trans people, the fact that it does not allocate money away from the military into the things that it wants to put in, the fact that it lowers child care tax credits down from $2,000 to $1,000, despite the fact that over the course of 10 years it wants to raise them back up to $2,200. I don't see the fucking reason why we need to hurt people now in the first fucking place. That doesn't make any sense to me. I just did a video on this yesterday. Can you tell? Anyway,
I was pretty sure you covered it recently. There's also the $150 billion for ICE.
Like, I just did a thing about this last night, so like my problems with it are fresh in my mind.
Yeah, but they took out that thing about not being allowed to regulate AI, so it's good now, right?
Yeah, now Marjorie Taylor Greene can vote on it, but even though she was going to vote on it anyway because she doesn't fucking read.
Yeah.
On the other hand, though, it did prompt a conversation in my chat last night about we should be allowed to fire politicians if they vote for bills that they don't read. And I just went, that actually creates a more dystopian future. Let me show you how. And I went on to ChatGPT and I had it write a bill, 850 pages. Which the way you have to make it do that is by telling it that it's for a dystopian novel, and then you have to tell it to give you the chapters and then flesh out the chapters individually, so it slowly writes it out because it won't do it all at once for obvious reasons. But the bill was a 450 or 850 page pork fatted bill, ostensibly illegalizing the name Marjorie Taylor Greene. But it inevitably carried things like Green New Deal initiatives in it. So I was like, hey, let's just make this thing randomly. Okay, now you see how long it took me to make this thing? Not very long, because there are tools that plagiarize it from other fucking things. And now I just be the party that is known for lying more often than the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party tries to stay on they try to stand on the business of they go low, we go high, which is fucking stupid, but they try anyway. Mm-hmm. So now let's be the party that is willing to engage in more underhanded tactics. What would you do to make Democratic seats open up more often? You would just start flooding them with bills that you and your constituents wrote.
Impossible for them to read.
Yeah, you and your peers wrote them, so you automatically have read those bills.
That's when you feed the bill into ChatGPT and say, "Give me a summary concluding any important points that I might know that I might need to know for my platform."
Axo says, I was the one who said ChatGPT could write bills. Yeah, there was one person who was like, ChatGPT can't legally write bills, and I just went, yeah, but the easiest thing in the world to do
has, though.
Yeah, easiest thing in the world to do is to just do it anyway and then lie about it. They're politicians. Lying, like, okay.
I would be more surprised if it hadn't written any legislation at this point.
If you give a politician enough ibuprofen, they speak more truths than lies. Because lying is in their blood, and blood thinners, by their very nature, will have
I was wondering where you're going with that. I'm like, what? Like, there are other drugs that I could see doing that to politicians.
Ibuprofen makes politicians lie less.
That's the one that's on your brain right now, is it?
Because lying is in their blood. Yeah, ibuprofen's on my brain, quite fucking literally. Thank you for the hydrate, hun. I appreciate it. Once we're done with this, I am getting myself beefy cheese dip for my nachos, because I need some comfort.
Beefy cheese dip.
Gay.
Okay. Side note. We're taking out our closet doors, and my partner wants to replace them with a curtain. Okay. And she was looking on Amazon for curtains that she likes. She couldn't find anything or whatever. And I happen to know that she likes vagina paraphernalia. So she has like a vagina keychain. She's got a vagina sticker on her laptop. There's some vagina artwork hanging up in her bedroom, and like it's just like little things, and it's usually fairly abstract. So like it's not like obvious vagina stuff a lot of the time. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's kind of abstract, arty kind of stuff. So I, in a moment of pure brilliance, I am like, I'm gonna find her a curtain with a vagina on it. So I went on to Google and I typed in vagina curtains. Can you guess what I got as the results?
Well, you got things somewhere around a labia, I'm imagining.
Yeah, no, it was entirely, like, I didn't do an image search for it because I know what would have come up with that. But no, it wasn't porn. It was all articles about beef curtains. And it was it's so weird because like you'll have these sterile articles that are using like the proper terms for everything, but then they'll just throw out the term beef curtains occasionally when talking about how they're a normal thing that happens. And it's just like, I'm on the Mayo Clinic's website and they just use the term beef curtains. What even is this? So yeah, I was unsuccessful in finding a curtain for our closet with some vagina artwork on it. Send to her because the words curtain. When you put the word curtain next to anything to do with vaginas, that's all you get. My favorite was there was an article trying to explain non-surgical ways that you can minimize beef curtains, and like they opened with the typical like, you know, all vaginas are different. There is no right or wrong way for your vagina to look. The beef curtains are fine. And like, honestly, it's fine. I don't mind them. All vaginas are beautiful. But yeah, then they went on to explain, and it was very clearly a large language model written thing, because it was all stuff like, do your pelvic floor muscle exercises. That will minimize your beef curtains. Like, those aren't muscles, though. And unless my knowledge of anatomy is way off, I'm pretty sure they're not controlled by muscles either.
I think it's more that if you're doing exercises in general, and you can get your skin to tighten up.
I'm sorry, Ms. Draka.
I think if you're doing exercises in general, and if you can get your skin to tighten up, that's what it's basically doing. Like, yeah, there's not a direct causative link between these muscles being used and
Jessa says, I thought
something
it was
else.
Cow pussy. No, it's when your labia majora is a little bit long, and it's very common. A lot of women got the curtains.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't care one way or another.
Nope.
Pussy's pussy.
Yep.
Like,
I'm just happy to be invited.
Exactly. Like, woman has genitalia. Genitalia may be pussy. Genitalia may be penis. I don't care. I will put it in my mouth, and I will do my best to make the person happy.
Exactly.
That, who cares after that point?
Yeah, do the curtains match the drapes takes on a whole new meaning.
Speaking of things that make me happy, I don't know, just random side thing. I just found out that GE is actually going to be coming to Atlanta in September.
Nice.
We're going to be going to the Magic Convention.
I am not.
Well, yeah, because that would require you being in the States.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
And the States are a no-go zone for you right now.
Oh, you know what? I didn't... Fuck, is it still open? Nope.
Who on the one now?
No, I was going to cover the story. There's that guy who got detained for having the meme of JD Vance. The
babyface JD Vance?
Yeah, we were going to talk about that for a little bit. Because the Department of Homeland Security or whatever issued a statement about it.
Zero Life King.
His name is Mads Mikkelsen. So it's fucking Galen Erso. I mean, it's not like actually Galen Erso. It's just another guy who happens to be named Mads Mikkelsen. Why
do I have Joe Biden MPreg art in my fan art section?
I don't know. That has got nothing to do with me, so I'm moving on to the next
Biden's
tweet.
laser eyes can impregnate me, and this is now lore. Why?
Okay. Yay! So Laura Loomer tweeted, this is, she's tweeting about Kat Abugazeli. I still haven't heard her say it out loud, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think that's approximately correct.
Kat Abu is McQueen.
Yeah.
Oh no, I love it. Everything I've seen her post has been gold.
It has been. We're gonna see some of her posts after this. So Laura Loomer says about her, this is another communist candidate running for Congress in Illinois. If Democratic Socialists had their way, Congress would be full of jihadists and wannabe hookers who want to seize all means of production. Not only is she running for Congress, but she's also dating Ben Collins, the CEO of The Onion. These are not serious people. Please cover your cooch, Kat Abugazeli. When the picture she has, if you scroll down in the picture, she's wearing short shorts and her legs are not closed.
Oh boy,
it's not
women.
It's not
pretty.
An explicit picture whatsoever.
Girl, pretty girl go into politics. Brain go burr. Who cares? Why does it matter?
But also, this is Laura Loomer saying that these are not serious people. Apropos of nothing, here's another tweet from Laura Loomer that is still up today that you can find. I just ate dog food. It's human grade, which means you and your dog can share a tasty, nutrient-dense treat together. Order yours today. Positive.com/Loomer.
These are not serious people.
But she's saying that these aren't serious people. Miss, I ate dog food.
You know why
being
she ate
human
dog
grade
food?
Doesn't mean it's something you should eat.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think the dog food was actually made for her because she's kind of a bitch.
Okay, there you go. I call my dog a needy bitch all the time because she loves to. She likes pets, and if you ever stop petting her, she will like stuff her head underneath your hand until you start again.
Every single animal in this house does that.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like it's cute, so it works, but like the proper way to train her out of it is to not give into it. But it's cute, so it works.
I don't want to train any of my animals out of that behavior. I think it's adorable.
It is adorable, but it does get annoying a lot of times. Anyway,
Wait says, is she the one that did the handy? No, that was Lauren Boebert.
Lauren Boebert, yeah. Is it actually pronounced Boebert, or is that just how you say it?
Fuck if I know. I don't care enough about the woman to find out.
All right.
Jessa says it's Boebert. Okay.
Bodie Light says, tell your needy bitch that I love her. Yeah, so anyway, Kat's response to this post by Loomer is, support your local wannabe hooker by donating to my congressional campaign. I love her. She's great. I'm not allowed to donate, sadly, because I'm in a foreign country. But if I could, I would.
Speaking of donations from foreign countries, just wanted to say I fucking hate that one of the only politicians that doesn't take APAC money in Georgia is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, fuck off. Really?
Yep. They don't have a reason to buy an anti-Semite. But Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff and like basically everybody who is otherwise decent, Nikema Williams, whose town hall I reported on a few months ago, like all of them have taken APAC money.
That stinks.
Yep. AOC has taken $0.
That doesn't surprise me.
I was kind of floored when I saw that Vladimir had taken $19 million, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I went to New York to fight about this. I knew that one. That was from the Bowman campaign. Terran Ambassador says Warnock and Ossoff. Yes, both of them.
Can I just go back to the New York mayoral thing for a second and talk about how fucking exhausting y'all's elections are? Like, I heard all the stuff about him fighting against all these other people that were running for mayor in New York or whatever, and then there was finally an election, and oh, that was just the primary, is now the Democratic nominee. The actual election's in November. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, in Canada, so we have set elections. There's a time period between elections, and so we know when it's coming up, but Parliament can be suspended and and like it can be dissolved, and our what's it called? The Governor General can issue writs of an election at any time, which it'll dissolve Parliament and start an election. So that happened at the end of March this year. Parliament was dissolved. Governor General does up the writ of election, says we're going to have an election. Do you know when our election was? I'm using the past tense, so it's already shorter than an American election, even if it's yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It was April 28th, I think it was. End of April. So end of March, election is announced. End of April, we have the election, and it's done. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Why is it a years-long event every time?
On the bright side, we had ranked choice voting in New York.
Yes. And
there's at least one positive there.
He kicked Cuomo's ass without ranked choice voting, and the ranked choice is going to make it even a bigger ass kick. Johnny Bravo for $2 says, I love it when people make fun of the couch lover. JD Vance and his poofy head.
He can be a couch fucker. He can fuck each other's couch.
Honestly, Fucking a couch is the least weird thing he's done. Have you seen him order donuts? Fucking a couch is downright normal.
Surreal as shit.
Fucking a couch is downright normal compared to how he orders donuts.
So, do you like working here?
I can at least see how you get there. If you're a horny teenager, it's stiff, you're on the couch, feels kind of nice to rub it. I can see how you get there. Not for me personally, but it's...
Okay, good.
How long have you been here?
Okay. Good.
Oh my god.
Like, the most normal fucking thing in the world
should
be going to somebody who's working class and just being like, so how long have you been stuck working today? It looks like there was a rush. It's no longer a weird question. It's no longer a weird question anymore. Because you're acknowledging a part of what a working class person fucking deals with. Customers.
So Sakura is saying, teenager, didn't the couch boinking happen when he was in college or something like that? I don't know when it happened for him. I'm saying that's when I could see it having happened for me.
Why are there...
I'm not a horny teenager anymore.
Why are there emotes spelling out mpreg in my fan art section? Go away, all of you!
You reap what you sow. And you sow your seed into your own uterus.
I sowed nothing, and apparently that was Biden's seed.
Oh, okay.
And now
you sowed Biden's seed into your uterus.
I just
you have little Biden babies. You have little Biden babies.
I just beat Final Fantasy VIII for the first time.
Little pink Biden babies with cameos.
I'm really angry that the rank everybody has in that game is seed.
Okay. Stephen Miller, next. Evil ghoul who needs to be...
I love Tesla.
Oh, shit, wrong button.
I love Tesla!
That was supposed to be the censor button. I was going to say what I want to do to Steve Miller, but we can skip that. He says, the best way to keep illegal aliens from getting free healthcare is to deport them. Hot take that probably shouldn't be a hot take. I don't care what your legal status is. You deserve free healthcare.
Agreed.
Give everybody free healthcare. I'll even include the fucking billionaires in that.
Why do the emotes
healthcare.
spell no now after my request to stop with the mpreg shit?
Sean Helfin put these emotes in. I don't know what they mean.
Is one of those Jinx crying next to Vi crying?
I don't know. I don't know what any of those are, except for the U at the end.
I recognize me. I also recognize Jinx and Vi because I'm a terrible person who spent 10 years playing a terrible video game.
Yeah. Yeah, so thing about providing healthcare for people is like, forget about the like legal versus illegal. So first off, they don't get free healthcare in the States in any scenario, so fuck off with that nonsense. Like undocumented workers can't, like they don't get Medicaid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like they're not getting free healthcare, and even like, is there even such a thing as free healthcare in the States? Like, is Medicare free, or do you still pay premiums to that?
Your taxes paid for it.
Okay, no, I'm not talking about tax. If taxes paid for it, I consider it free because that's how my healthcare gets paid for in Canada, and I call mine free. So I'm okay with that.
It's a sort of thing.
So if you go to the hospital on Medicaid, do you get a bill?
I believe you can. Hold on.
Medicare has deductibles?
Yeah, they only cover a significant portion of healthcare costs. You still pay premiums, deductibles, co-payments, and co-insurance. Why aren't those all things?
Yeah, so that's not free healthcare. So even the quote-unquote free healthcare that you guys have down there, it's not free healthcare. And an undocumented immigrant is not eligible for that anyways. They do not get that. they have to pay the whole goddamn thing. So the best way to keep anyone from getting free healthcare is to just continue having the system that you have, because it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So like,
no notes.
I mean, what I'm getting from this is that Stephen Miller's okay with giving free healthcare to citizens, which I will take that as a step in the right direction.
I gotta continue being an American, where at least I know I'm in crippling medical debt.
Okay, so you and Saki are not married, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you moved to Canada, marry me. Saki moved to Canada, marry my partner. And we have a nice little polycule. And you guys get your citizenships. Only thing that I need from you, you guys gotta be like our living nannies. You're doing that. You gotta take care of our kids and drive them places, because fuck that. There's so many goddamn appointments, Cirrus. There's so many of them.
This is gonna have to be a shared custody thing at that point.
You know,
he says, take the deal, Cirrus.
Yeah.
Justice is fucking done. I'll take that deal.
Yeah, no, like I need like seriously, like for our mental health, I think we are getting to the point where we might need someone to help take care of the kids, because it is a lot. It's not just that we have 5 kids, it's that all of them except for maybe one are neurodivergent in one way or another, and it's not a low needs sort of scenario.
So you're saying that every day is a new tism schism?
Yes, it is challenging. So yeah, a lot of people in the chat gonna marry me and come be my nanny. Okay, I'm gonna set up a website to apply to.
The most memed on shit in the world now. Spacco says the hell is a tism schism. Social friction caused by there being multiple people who are neurodivergent in the same area.
Yeah, so
it's a word I made the fuck up. Rhino has a compound in his basement.
Basically. Yeah, so no, the issue, so the tism schism with regards to like different people having the different neurodivergency. So we have 2 kids who are sensory seeking and at least 2 who are sensory avoiding. And I am also sensory avoidant.
So you get the 2 that want to bounce off the walls and have all the noises, and then you have the ones that are like, I swear to God, if I hear even a pin drop after this, I am going to stab you with it.
Mm-hmm. Dinner is torture. I tried really hard when my partner and I first moved in together. I tried really hard to make dinners a family thing, because I'm like, okay, this is a good way to like connect with the kids, make sure like we're all one family. It's not my kids and her kids, it's our kids. We are one family. We'll have dinners together. Fuck that noise. Absolutely not. I like if I'm at the dinner table with the sensory seeking kids, I have to wear my noise canceling headphones now. It's like, no. Basement full of healthcare concubines.
This video is sponsored by Raycon noise canceling.
No. So in my last Raycon ad, which my Raycons are right here.
Oh god damn it, this is actually becoming a Raycon ad.
No, it's not. They're not going to be happy with what I'm going to say, because I actually do like my Raycons. Mm-hmm. But the main reason I like them is because they were free for me. No, the noise canceling on them is shit. It doesn't do I can't even tell that it was on. So like in my last ad for them, I didn't even mention it. Like I think I mentioned it as a feature that they have, but I didn't say anything else about it other than they have it, because it's garbage. It's shit. But like, yeah, they're waterproof, so I can like wear them in the shower. But right now I can feel that my there's almost some compacted, I think it's called impact. When the earwax gets like all stuffed in there, and then it feels like you're underwater in your ear for a while. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my ears produce way too much wax, so that happens to me if I use like earbuds too often. And So yeah, I felt that starting to happen, so I can't use them for like a couple weeks.
Gross.
Yeah. Get your ears watered. No, it's not an issue. Like, I just trust me. This is the thing that has been discussed with doctors. Neti pot is for your nose. That's the thing where you like pour water in one nostril and it flows up your sinuses and then out the other nostril. So that ain't gonna hurt. That ain't gonna. Oh, get your ears watered by a medical professional. Yeah, no, that's how you solve the problem. But I'd rather just not have the problem in the first place. Anyway, let's move on from my gross ears. Does anybody still want to marry me, knowing that I like spurt smelly gray stuff out my ears?
Have you heard of a Q-tip?
No, that makes it worse. It stuffs it down in there. It doesn't get it out. It pushes it in. Like, some of it will like wipe off on the Q-tip, but most of it gets pushed in. So absolutely not. Q-tips cannot do it.
What about those things that like they almost drill into your ear a little bit? They kind of screw into your ear and they pick up everything and then you just drag them out?
I'm not confident enough with those because those are the kinds of things that if you stick them in too far, you get a punctured eardrum. And so I'm like very delicate with them, and so it doesn't actually do anything.
Oh, I understand.
Yes, I do. Okay. Y'all are just telling me all the stuff that I already know. Yes, hydrogen peroxide works. However, after it's impacted, it doesn't, like, it would take so long to actually work through all of the stuff. Like, I'd have to spend the entire day just on my side pouring it in my ear constantly. Like, I know I just avoid that.
Boil your ears, Rhino.
So that's the thing, is your ears are naturally self-cleaning. If you don't put anything in the way, the earwax will just occasionally fall out on its own when there's too much of it. The chewing motion works it up, and it's a recycle thing, and most people don't even notice it happening. I produce too much, so I have to be careful with that sort of thing. But like, as long as I'm aware of it, I can avoid it.
I have a way that you can solve your problem.
You know what else is self-cleaning? Vaginas, and they are wonderful.
Ha! Holes.
Moving on. Wendell. Fact. Jesus fulfilled hundreds of Old Testament prophecies. That's no coincidence. That's divine planning.
I mean, oh my god, I'm so happy that your character in your story did the thing you wanted him to do in the story.
I was going to say, I will grant that that is no coincidence.
Like, okay, cool.
Fennec says, also just get some on-ear headphones. Yeah, I have on-ear headphones. These are my wireless on-ear headphones. Just ignore the wireless plugged into them.
Ignore the... These are my wireless headphones.
They're wireless.
Ignore the wire.
These are my wireless headphones. They're the noise-canceling ones that I use at dinner time. The noise-canceling on these is actually pretty good, as opposed to the noise-canceling on these. But the problem with that is now I have... Like, I don't actually like headphones. Like, I get antsy in them after a while, and I want to take them off. They're like, sometimes streaming with you is very painful for me. If I've been working all day and I've had my headphones on all day, I'm just like, no, I want to take them off.
Yeah, see, that's weird because I'm used to streaming for anywhere between 4 and like 12 hours.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do that. Today, nobody was home, so I was using my speakers, but I'm not comfortable using my speakers when there are people home.
Axo says no one wants the ear, see? Don't say no sure, one!
Yep, there's someone out there who wants it. Yeah, anyway, I think that's the last one. Yep, Wendell's the last one.
But, yay!
So, we done.
We did it, everybody.
So about Andor. Fucking great, right?
I am only about 6 episodes into Andor, and I'm...
Okay, don't watch the stream back then, because I spoiled the whole thing.
Okay, fair enough. I really want to finish it, but it's very much a slow burn, so it's taking some time.
It is very slow, but it's so good. Like, it's... I actually appreciate that it was slow, because it feels like it's going... Like, it's going back to... movie movies that actually like required some thought,
as opposed to just action scene, action scene, action
yeah,
scene,
yeah,
action scene, funny joke, action scene, funny joke.
yeah, exactly. And although the last season, my partner and I were kind of laughing about it because like every couple episodes, it's like it's suddenly 1 year later, and it just
Clueless Expert
there's a lot of stuff
says
that they leave unsaid.
Clueless Expert says never seen Andor or Rogue One. Which should I see first? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so Andor is the prequel to Rogue One, but Rogue One was made first. Um, I feel like if you watch Rogue One first, um, like if you watch Andor first, there's a few things that are kind of like I'm not sure why they did it that way. I feel like you should like Rogue One first is what makes sense to me. I although I would be interested to hear from someone who like saw Andor first and then saw Rogue One. Because like there are some things in Rogue One that like they obviously didn't think about when they were making Andor.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you watch Andor and then go into Rogue One, it might be like you might end up being like, oh well, that doesn't make sense. How come they didn't do it? Whereas if you watch the movie first and then treat Andor as the prequel that it is, then it's easier to forgive that. I don't know. It's subjective. Rogue One is a good movie. It's not an amazing, fantastic piece of art. But like for Star Wars movies, especially for Disney Star Wars movies, it's by far the best Disney Star Wars movie. For Star Wars movies in general, I'd say it's pretty close to being on par with Empire. But I also
enjoyed my time with Rogue One.
I also recognize that Star Wars is not fine art. It's a fun little movie. It's a fun little franchise. You're supposed to just have fun with the little movies.
Or alternatively, you can deep dive into the video games and the production of each film, and you can then hyperfixate on the novels and chew through 20 of them in about a 2-month span. So that's what I did.
One of the things that Andor did really well is there were apparently a bunch of references to books and comics and video games and cartoons and stuff that I have not seen. But I didn't feel like I was missing things because of those references. Whereas there have been other shows where it's like, oh, clearly this is a character that I'm supposed to already be familiar with. Like Ahsoka. That happened in Ahsoka a bunch of times. It was like, oh, clearly I'm supposed to already know who this is. But I don't know who this is because I didn't watch the show that she was in.
Clone Wars or Rebels?
No, I didn't watch either of those.
Dictape Jake says Jedi Outcast forever. Lightsaber combat in Jedi Outcast is fucking great. I need to actually play through that game in full.
No, you want great lightsaber combat? Go to the PlayStation 1 version of Phantom Menace.
I don't know if I want to.
It's available. You can get it. I don't know if it's on Steam, but I know you can get it on the PlayStation Store right now.
Okay.
YouTube served a video of someone playing through that to me the other day, and it brought back memories because I played that game as a kid.
The Star Wars game that I played as a kid that I want to do again is Shadows of the Empire.
Yes, but that one emulates like shit.
It does not emulate well, but I have an N64 like 5 feet away from me.
Do you have the cartridge?
I don't have the cartridge yet.
I also
trying
have
to find one,
and I don't have a cartridge for that.
Yeah,
no, that was a good game. I remember really liking that.
I really enjoyed that as a kid. I remember watching my dad play it, and I want to go through it. I really do want to go through it because the vibe in that game of like, congratulations, you are dealing with an empire that is overarching threatening and it's going to fucking kill you is fantastic. If only the opening section of the game didn't suck.
I have a long history of completely missing whatever story is a part of the video game that I'm playing. So when I was playing Shadows of the Empire, I thought I was Han Solo. And I was confused why the Millennium Falcon looked like that.
Jesus.
Didn't expect me to read the text, did you?
I grew up playing RPGs.
To be fair, I only ever played that game at my friend's house, so it was always like in 5-minute spurts.
That makes a lot more sense, because when you're in that environment, you're not paying attention to everything and you're having conversations with your bud and everything else is happening. So I like RPGs a lot. I don't play them all that often because of the time investment. It takes a lot to beat a JRPG. And then for some reason, I finished disc 1 of Final Fantasy VIII in 2 hours, and I don't know how that fucking happened. So maybe these games aren't as long as I remember. I just got lost a lot. Who the fuck knows?
Final Fantasy VII, there were so many times when I didn't know where to go or what to do, and I wandered around for hours being frustrated that I couldn't find the next thing, and it was just like the most obvious thing when I finally did get it.
I finally beat 8 for the first time last night, and I realized why I physically could not beat that game as a kid. It would actually have been impossible for me to finish that game as a child, because the way that the combat system in that game works does not yield itself to a young mind that has not paid attention to jack shit. Final Fantasy VII system is way simpler by comparison. The junction system, there's a reason we've never gotten that back in any fucking Final Fantasy game.
Maybe that's why I've never played any Final Fantasy except for 7, because I remember trying another one and not like it was, the learning curve was just so high. I was like, I've already spent so much time learning how materia works, and now I'm supposed to learn this other thing that's completely different. No thanks. And then I never played another Final Fantasy.
So the best one to play, if you liked 7, is 9. If you enjoy 7, 9 learns all the correct lessons from 7 to be a good game still. 8...
I mean, that's just because 7 of 9 is the best.
Is it because 7, 8, 9?
That was a Star Trek reference.
Oh, okay. That's a very different
7
thing.
9 was Jerry Ryan's Borg character in what's it called?
Nixie Chan.
Star Trek Voyager.
Sorry, Sakura says, how did you finish disc 1 in under 2 hours? So, the remaster version of the game has a speed up button that speeds up combat. So you can go through the turn-based combat way quicker as long as you know what commands you're trying to go for. But the biggest thing is, in hindsight, there are only 3 set pieces on disc 1. It is literally the mission in Dalit, which you can complete very quickly. The mission in Timber, which is just the train shit. More time is spent with them explaining how to do the train shit than actually doing the train shit. And then you do the assassination mission in Galbadia. And then you fail, and then you go to disc 2. There's 3 set pieces total. Most of the time in 8 is spent reading text in disc 1 than it is actually doing things.
Okay. On that note, I think it's time to end it.
So, fair enough.
As always, fuck off.